Well, version 0.1.1 of HackeRPG is now available. The demo version is available for absolutely everyone on itch.io, and there is a full version on Patreon. In the last video, I talked about version 0.0.3, and now we jump straight to 0.1.1. How come? Well, for starters, I went to a more canonical naming scheme, and version 0.1.0 turned out to be quite buggy, so I didn't post it until I fixed the main problems. Let's talk about the changes. As you may have noticed, the visuals have changed a lot. I completely redrew the main character and his animations, as well as the background texture. I like the way it looks now, so I think I won't go back to it again for now. Speaking of animations, I also reworked the attack mechanics. Now it's not just a skill, but a full-fledged series of blows with its own animation for each of them. Interesting point, the character and sword are animated separately, so in the future I will be able to reuse the animation of the character for other weapons, as well as it helped to implement attacks on the move. I also redesigned the upgrade system. We get the stat bonuses per level, and we can write code at the end of each round. Moreover, now you can edit previously written code, which allows you to fix or delete code that is no longer relevant. To limit the player from automating everything at all, I added resources in the form of SSD, RAM, and cores. These parameters can also be upgraded as the level increases, but in some cases you will have to sacrifice combat performance. There are also several new commons in the game. Polar Move, which uses the angle for the direction of movement, is alive, which allows you to determine whether the enemy is alive or not. Tracepath, which returns the angle to the enemy. Ray Trace, which returns the distance to the enemy, as well as local variables, which allow to save resources and increase code readability. In addition, it is now possible to write viruses that control enemies. Only Move, Polar Move, Go-To, and Sleep commands are currently available for viruses. Speaking of difficulty and gameplay, the balance of the game is not perfect yet, but a lot of work has been done on stats, damage, and spawn rate. One of the important decisions was to remove the invulnerability frames from the character and replace it with each enemy's cooldown. This way we can avoid the scenario where an invulnerability frame will allow you to dodge an explosion or projectile. In addition, a lot of minor changes, edits, and bug fixes have been made, but the video would take hours if I described everything. So let's move on to the plans for version 0.1.2. By the way, the free 0.1.2 demo version will be publicly available only with the release of 0.1.3 on Patreon. In the future, the demo version will always lag right up to the release. For starters, I want to add more variation to the gameplay by changing weapons and skills that will be dropped from chests, as well as new types of enemies. I also want to start working on roguelite mechanics, that is upgrading the character between runs. This means to think about currency and skill tree. I think to visualize it in the style of Git technology. This doesn't seem like a big list, but given the work on visuals and balance, as well as fixing some of the many small issues I have in the backlog, there's a lot of work to do, so I'll get back to the code. Thanks for your attention, stay tuned.